Here we go!
Welcome to the Nintendo Power Zone. We are a video/podcast dedicated to bringing you the best Nintendo-related topics. I'm your host, Nice One, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Blues, and we're going to talk all about Pokemon. As yesterday, the Pokemon Company had a press conference where they made some pretty interesting announcements regarding the future of the Pokemon franchise. So, Blues, welcome back to the podcast. We've been gone for a few weeks, but they were scheduled. It was scheduled time off.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're back. We're ready to go. Are you ready to talk Pokemon? And how you doing?
I'm always ready to talk Pokemon. I am doing great. For those of you that don't know, Pokemon is my favorite Nintendo-esque franchise, hands down. So I am all set to go. I've seen this conference 4 times now. I'm super excited.
I've only seen it twice. I've held restraint, just because it's actually fairly long at 38 minutes. So
yeah, it's about 40 minutes. Yeah.
But yeah, so guys, this is going to kick off our 3 weeks of E3 series. What that means is we're going to do 3 shows within 3 weeks. So we have today's discussion about the Pokemon press conference. Next week, we're going to do a discussion on the Pokemon Direct that they're going to do for Sword and Shield. But it's also going to be our annual E3 prediction episode.
Yeah.
Yes, our pre-show / predictions. So get excited for that. And then the following week is E3, and we will have our E3 post-show. I believe on Wednesday. Nintendo has their showing on Tuesday this year.
I believe so, yes.
But before that, they're going to have a bunch of tournaments for Super Mario Maker, Splatoon 2, and
Smash Bros.
So we're going to talk about those events on top of the actual Direct that they're going to do for E3. So yeah, 3 weeks of E3. Follow us. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, because we're going to have a whole lot of content coming out in the near future. But without further ado, we don't have any news, because what's funny is all the news that was coming out before this press conference kind of ties into the press conference.
A bit, yeah.
So we're just going to go ahead. We're going to dive right into the press conference, and we're going to start with where they started. So Hiro Matsuoka, the managing director of Toho Studios, which is the studio that produces the Pokemon movies, but also they manage the Godzilla franchise globally. They've made the very first Godzilla movie, and now they fund and produce the American versions of the Godzilla movie, and they helped fund Detective Pikachu. So when you think about how good Detective Pikachu was as a film, it was because it was a collaborative process between Toho, the Pokemon company, and the studio that made the movie here. Who was it? Legendary Pictures. I don't know why I was going to say Lionsgate. We all know damn well that Lionsgate can't make a movie that good.
But I feel like most movies nowadays either have Legendary or Lionsgate in front of them. There's over half the movies just have one of those two things these days.
It's true. Which I don't understand. Lionsgate does not make good movies.
Good movies, yeah.
They just don't.
They're just everywhere though. Even still,
I think it's just because they managed to secure a crap ton of funding and Twilight and whatnot. Anyhow, so Hiro Matsuoka, the managing director of Toho, will be appointed to the Pokemon Company's board of directors as an external board member. What that means is he's going to have a minority vote on the board of directors, which is impressive considering that he works for a movie studio. But what does that mean for the Pokemon company and the franchise as a whole? It means more continuity between Pokemon proper and Pokemon films, which is awesome. We've seen that the Pokemon animated films have shifted from recently. They stopped being region based. So before, they used to be whatever region Ash was in, they come up with a fictitious section of that region for Ash to explore and meet a legendary Pokemon at. That's typically the formula. But starting with Pokemon I Choose You, they took the franchise into a different route when it came to their films. They started to become more like actual proper films. Now, you can say what you want, for better or worse. I think this is a good thing, because even though the stories haven't gotten fundamentally better, the animation has. If you look at Pokemon I Choose You and what was the last one?
Power of Us.
Power of Us. Those films are phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
I actually really like The Power of Us.
Yeah.
I liked it more than Pokemon I Choose You.
Yeah. I have to agree with that. Because, like, the thing that I think a lot of people didn't like with I Choose You is just that it's a retelling of the first movie, but it's changed a lot, you know,
Well,
in a way
Pikachu
that's just kind of
talked,
weird.
and that killed the movie for me.
That killed the movie for a lot of people. I didn't mind that, even though it was kind of weird. It was just the fact that it wasn't what I knew, you know? And I think that's got a lot of people, too.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah,
it's a beautiful movie nonetheless. It looks great.
I agree. But what's interesting about this is it just means that now there's going to be a much more stable point of contact between the Pokemon Company and Toho Studios.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all right now. We're just waiting for board approval. Hiro Matsuoka actually has to be voted onto the board. He needs a majority vote. I don't know how many members are on the Pokemon Company's board of directors, but I would be willing to bet that these people who are in charge understand that this is a good move for Pokemon, and it might mean we start to see more actual theatrical releases of Pokemon films stateside again, because now we only get them as Fathom events, which I like the Fathom events because, you know, they draw in the hardcore crowd. Yeah, they draw in the hardcore Pokemon fans, but there was a time where Pokemon movies could, you know, become top grossing films.
Yeah.
And I think with the renaissance that Pokemon is experiencing again, that we could totally see, you know, Pokemon just completely wreck the film industry in a great way. I mean, look at the positive reaction to Detective Pikachu. Detective Pikachu, we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, but it is the first video game movie, and I have to eat crow because for months I had been saying that I was really skeptical of the film and that I didn't think it would be good. I saw the movie opening weekend with my brother, and we both absolutely loved the film. It's funny, it's heartwarming, it's endearing. My only complaint about the film is that it stays too close to the source material. I wish they would have veered off a little bit more. But with that, unless you have anything
with you there.
Do you have anything to add?
I really liked how Detective Pikachu actually stayed true to the source material, because I think one of the big issues with a lot of the video game movie curse things is that they veer from the source material, or if they don't, you know, I may as well just play the game. And so it's a very weird middle ground. But Detective Pikachu was a game that not a whole lot of people played. So I don't know if people even know if the game existed before the movie. So they aren't familiar with the plot, and it was true to the source material. It was really well done. It didn't do anything like, none of the Pokemon looked like Goomba from the Super Mario Bros. Movie or the new Sonic. Like, they all looked good. Everything was just how it sort of should have been.
Yeah, you know, for the most part, I thought they did a fantastic job in bringing the Pokemon to life in that movie. And I think that's the best part about this. With Hiro Matsuoka being part of the board of directors, we may start to see more of a shift to live action when it comes to Pokemon movies. They've already announced that they are working on a sequel to Detective Pikachu, and maybe we'll start to see a more proper Pokemon movie, one that follows the journey of a trainer in that sense. But, you know, we don't know. The Japanese market and their film interests are different than the typical Westerners. But that being said, this is a good move, so I do not foresee the board of directors voting this appointment down.
It's a 99% chance he's in. They wouldn't make the announcement if he wasn't, like, guaranteed, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, excited about that. He did kind of go off topic
on Godzilla.
On Godzilla. Yeah, no, fine. I am very excited about the new Godzilla film. I've always loved the Godzilla franchise, but there's a time and a place. Wrong time, wrong place. But he did get a laugh out of the Pokemon
Ishihara
president. Yeah, Mr. Ishihara. So that's always a good thing to see Mr. Ishihara laugh. Right after that, though, because they had already, you know, while Hiro Matsuoka was speaking, he did talk about Toho's influence on the Detective Pikachu film, which led for Mr. Ishihara to lead into our next topic, and he essentially confirmed that Detective Pikachu 2 would be coming to the Nintendo Switch, which is awesome because for those who have played the game, they know that the game actually ends on a cliffhanger. There
Mhm.
is no definitive end like there is in the film. Ends in a cliffhanger, which is fine. I knew they would release a sequel. I thought it would be for the 3DS. I am very happy to report today that they announced it for the Nintendo Switch. But what does that mean for the original game? Does that mean that we're going to get a port or maybe a dual package, one with 1 and 2? Considering that, 1 has probably not been played by the majority of people who play Pokemon or the larger video game audience as a whole. I think the film might have brought a lot of attention to the franchise. So I think a port is a good idea right now. But super excited about the announcement for Detective Pikachu 2 because I love that game.
So when I first saw the announcement, I'm like, oh, 2, that's awesome. It's on the Switch, just what it needed. And then I sort of had that train of thought you had where it's like, well, no one knows what happened in 1, so they should do a port of 1 first. But then I kind of realized they didn't say that it was a sequel. It could just be a complete edition with an extra chapter.
Well, he called it a conclusion.
Yeah, he called it the conclusion. So I feel like an extra chapter addition to just the original game is totally in the question still, right?
True. Until we get until they say otherwise, I'm gonna continue to call it 2. And hope that it is an official sequel.
Yeah, official sequel would be great.
We need an official sequel.
But we also need that port because no one's gonna know what's happening. That port
I would love to get more use out of this amiibo right here.
I was about to say,
if you aren't watching the video version, the amiibo's in the background, guys. That's why you got to watch the video version. This is the better version of the podcast.
And yeah, I was about to bring that up too. I see that you have the Detective Pikachu amiibo back there. And I wonder if you will see even maybe some additional functionality for it on top of this sort of the cutscenes that you got with the original.
I certainly hope so. And let me tell you, I actually use the amiibo a lot because there were times where I kind of would fly through the chapters and wouldn't watch all the clue videos. So I'd go back after I beat a chapter and watch them all. I'm like, okay, so I didn't miss anything important or funny. All right. But moving on, they then brought out the managing director of the Pokemon Center stores, and they announced a new style of store. And the first one's going to open in Shibuya at the Shibuya Parko Center. And this is a really interesting upgrade. Yeah,
it's a sexy store.
It looks like a merger between the Apple Store that you have at your regular malls and a Pokemon Center. It's nice. It's very, it looks a little sterile because it's all black and white.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's very black and white, not only in the color scheme, but it almost reminds me of something from the Unova region. If I went to the Unova region, I would expect to see that in a high-tech building or something, like a gym.
Is this our first clue for a Unova remake? No, anyway.
Come on, Gen 4 first. Come on.
On a serious note, no, the concept art of the store looks great, and that moving Mewtwo statue that's the first thing you see when you walk towards the building, not even into the shopping center. That looked fantastic. I was like, wow. And they're saying they're going to integrate the latest and greatest technology into this. So I expect a much more interactive Pokemon Center experience than what we traditionally see. Now, this is very reminiscent to me of the Pokemon Gym that they opened up in Tokyo. They opened up a Pokemon Gym in Tokyo that does have a lot of interactive and educational experiences for people who go inside. So that's very cool. And I'm hoping that they're utilizing a lot of the ideas from that Pokemon Gym and implementing them into the Pokemon Center. But they also announced that the Nintendo Store Tokyo will also be opening within the Parko shopping center. And they said that they want to really utilize, collaborate. Wow, not being able to talk today. Yes, they want to have a more collaborative experience with the Nintendo Store as a whole. What does that mean? We don't know yet, but I would venture to say that they're probably going to do a whole lot of joint releases, joint coordination of events. Very cool.
I was definitely a lot of events for sure, cross events.
Yeah, and that's another announcement that kind of went under the radar was that Nintendo was opening their second Nintendo store. It's
not about Nintendo though.
I know it's not, but that announcement had been made months ago, and it kind of just flew under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one Nintendo store, two actually, one in New York and one in Redmond, Washington, that is exclusive to Nintendo employees. So there's no one else who can access this. So this is the second store that will be open to the public. I can't wait to see what kind of joint ventures they announce with one another, because we all know that Pokemon and Nintendo have gone hand in hand for like, what, 24 years now? 23 years?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm excited about this new style of store. We are planning a vacation to Japan in the near future. And
I need to now.
Pokemon
Just
Center was at the
installs.
top of that list, and I would love to, make my first Pokemon Center experience this new one at the Shibuya Parko Shopping Center, because it looks freaking awesome. Based on that concept art, it looks awesome. And since the store is pretty damn close to opening, I would venture to say that concept art is pretty
Close.
accurate.
Now, one thing, I guess two things. I'll start with, I guess, the smaller thing. When I first saw that Mewtwo statue, I thought it was going to be like a hologram inside that little tube, and not a statue. But they call it a statue. I'm like, it would be cool if it was a hologram. So I'm like, I got my fingers crossed. It's secretly like an animated hologram in there. But the second thing, they also announced the Sinapore Pokemon Center. So Pokemon Center Sinapore, and like an airport, I believe, a commercial district in an airport in Sinapore. So that's also really cool that is happening.
First Pokemon Center in that region.
Mm-hmm.
So, are we maybe gonna see a Pokemon Center come back
Here
to
in the
America?
States.
We've had one before. It became the
Yeah.
Nintendo New York store, but it would be really nice to see a Pokemon Center somewhere back in America.
I want to see tons in America, please, especially here in Michigan, please.
First off,
And
they
if-
better put one here in Florida first. We're the largest tourist state in the
of course.
country.
I'm getting Michigan's getting theirs last for sure. I already know, but like if we get some, I will be a happy gamer. But yeah, I also just hope that, there's all these Pokemon Center events that are like Japan exclusive. I hope if we do get Pokemon Centers here in the States, that we get those, and even like maybe the Sinapore one will have those events. And I hope that for the people in Sinapore that they do.
Well, the exclusive merchandise that the Pokemon Centers carry,
Mhm.
those are the things that I really want, especially now that Tomy no longer has the American
Toy rights.
license.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have seen those new toys from Wicked Cool Toys, but they are so bad. Especially the ones for the Detective Pikachu film. The designs for the Pokemon in that film are great. They do not translate well to toys whatsoever.
Mhm.
They look awful.
I agree.
Anyway, enough of Pokemon Center. Let's go ahead and start talking about their first game announcement. So,
Mhm.
Pokemon Quest, a game that's been out here for about a year
About
now,
a year. Yeah.
is finally going to open up to the China region, and it's going to be co-developed by the Chinese game company NetEase. And they're adding some features that will make the Chinese version of the game superior to the every other version in general. So they're going to add PvP, which is neat. Pokemon Quest is actually a really fun game if you want it to be. Like, it can be a little loot boxy,
very grind heavy too.
Yeah, microtransaction heavy game. But you can actually do fairly well without any. I mean, you're just gonna have to grind.
Yeah. As someone who didn't spend a buck, it was very, very grind heavy.
I recently found myself playing that game over last weekend. I was like, yo, I forgot how fun this game actually is. So they're getting PvP added to to their version, and a social system, which I assume means social media integration, maybe like
some
Twitter,
friend list
Facebook,
as well.
Integrating with the contact list on your cell phone. All that seems very cool. I think that's a really cool addition to the game that I really want for here, because it would actually give me a reason to continue to play Pokemon Quest. I recently rediscovered how fun it is, but there is a limit to how much fun I can actually have. I've already beaten Pokemon Quest. So,
I was at first when I saw it, I'm like, okay, well, you're going to announce those features are coming to our versions too, right? And I was really like, okay, well, because it'll be fair and be cool for us too. And then I just started thinking, well, they haven't even gotten the game yet. I've had it. I've beaten it. I don't even care about it anymore. So I shouldn't be. I don't want features for a game I don't care about. I shouldn't be greedy about it. So at first I was a bit jealous, but I'm like, okay, no, let them have their thing. But also we didn't really cover it at the beginning, but they made a whole point about how this conference was also going to be, translated into Chinese, because Pokemon is really making a push into that Chinese market in general. And this is the big key thing that they did for that Chinese market, was say, hey, you're getting this cool Pokemon mobile game now.
I honestly think that's a reaction to the negativity surrounding Pokemon Sun and Moon, where they were going to translate it in like traditional Chinese versus like the Chinese that, the majority.
Simplified.
Yeah, the simplified.
There's traditional and simplified. But I thought they did both, didn't they?
I think they only did traditional, and they caught a lot of backlash. And I think for Ultra Sun and Moon, they added the simplified. And I think,
maybe that's what it was.
But I think they actually want to make a more concerted effort to focus on the Chinese market when it comes to that, because that was a large backlash. But it was nice to see that the press conference was simuldubbed, which was really good. But before we move on, can we actually talk about the American translation?
Yeah, sure.
It was a little
rocky.
Hard. Yeah, it was a little hard.
But they're doing a live translation. Like, they're going by ear as the conference is going. So I give them the credit. They did an okay job for the pressure and keeping up with.
This is why I like the way Nintendo handled press conferences when they did handle press conferences. Nintendo press conferences were memorized scripts. Miyamoto would memorize a script and recite it. The translator
would talk over him.
Or he would wait for Miyamoto to finish speaking, and he would
recite his script.
Exactly, recite the script that he had memorized. That worked far better than a specifically live translation. It was a little rough. But it wasn't the worst. I mean, I think Nintendo actually did far worse with the Nintendo Switch announcement back in 2017. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it was rocky, but it's not scripted. It's live. They're going at the same sort of speed, more or less, as the presentation givers. So it's rough. So I give them the credit, but it wasn't the easiest. No.
Exactly. All right, but with that, that's pretty much all the Pokemon Quest announcements that they had. I think it's very cool. I would love to see these upgrades come
stateside,
everywhere,
in Europe,
everywhere,
everywhere.
Just because Pokemon Quest is a fun game, and it peters out real quickly without these functions.
I see. Yeah.
All right, moving on. Junichi Masuda came out, and he has some great announcements, and I think we're going to spend a good bulk of this episode speaking on this particular topic right here.
So I want to actually first say Junichi Masuda looks like 10 years younger for some reason last night, whatever. Like he was looking great. He looked so young.
Oh, I think he had some. I think that was mostly because of the announcement he was about to make. Man, you always look and feel better when you are happy to announce, or happy in general. But so he talked about Pokemon Bank a little bit, and talked about how Pokemon Bank allowed you to take all your Pokemon from previous generations and save them and transfer them to newer and newer games. Then he went on to announce essentially the world's greatest upgrade, Pokemon Home, a new way to transfer your Pokemon. Pokemon Home is a cloud-based service for smartphones and the Nintendo Switch. It will have connectivity to Pokemon Bank, Pokemon Let's Go, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and Pokemon Go. There is the kicker. Connectivity to Pokemon Go. It gives me a reason to keep playing Pokemon Go, even though Let's Go already kind of does that for Meltan and whatnot. But still, Pokemon Go needed this integration more than any other game on the list, because if I'm being honest, you can catch far more of those previous gen Pokemon on Pokemon Go, and you don't have to go ahead and buy an old console, buy older games. If you have the Pokemon Go, That integration is key. I am ecstatic about that integration. Before we go ahead and talk about this a little bit more, they also announced trading functionality anytime, anywhere with a smartphone. That means you can trade online with your friends, locally with nearby trainers, and it's going to launch in early 2020. So big, big announcement for Pokemon fans, especially the hardcore ones. Every type of hardcore Pokemon fan, traditional Pokemon fans, Pokemon Let's Go fans, Pokemon Go fans. You have a way to transfer your Pokemon to Pokemon Home, and it allows you so much functionality. So Blues,
Yes.
go ahead, kick us off, man.
So way back when Pokemon Bank was very, very, very first announced, this is kind of what I thought it would be, where it would sort of be, for all the devices, including smartphones, in that if they ever release a Pokemon smartphone game at the time, which I think at the time there was like rumors that there was going to be one made, stuff like that. That they could then use that, so I can get my X and Y team, onto my phone and get the phone Pokemon and vice versa. And that's how I sort of saw it, where it was, it was a phone app, it was a 3DS app, maybe even the Wii U, if we ever got anything for the Wii U. And that's how I sort of saw it. That unfortunately didn't happen. Pokemon Bank it was okay. It was just for the 3DS era games, and I guess I want to get technical, late Black White to import.
Well, it also integrated functionality with the virtual console versions of Red, Blue, and Yellow and Gold and Silver.
Yes, you're right. It did. Yeah. Okay. You got me. Yeah, I did forget about that. Which is that was really cool. I liked that.
Yeah. I mean, it was a separate app from Pokemon Bank, but that app connected to Pokemon
Bank. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Everything also just always needed to be more streamlined with this whole system.
True, but it just goes to show the actual limitations of Pokemon Bank, that it's not an upgradable system. I had been talking about Pokemon, about transferring Pokemon with Mario After Party, the former co-host of the show, 2 days before the press conference got announced. We were talking about there needs to be a way to transfer Pokemon from these games, and we were talking about Pokemon Bank specifically, and it didn't come up in the conversation, but it just shows you how very limited it is that when they released the virtual console games, they couldn't upgrade Pokemon Bank to naturally read the information from those virtual console games. They had to create a separate app that could then connect to Pokemon Bank. And here we're developing a third app specifically to connect to Pokemon Bank.
Yeah.
But I mean, the phone connectivity, the smart device connectivity, is so key to this new app, because I'm the possibilities, man, and the capabilities of transferring your Pokemon from every device.
I'm actually very surprised. You bring up how limited Pokemon Bank was. Remember, before it was released, I think Masuda-san had said in an interview, like, this is going to be the feature for like a long time. And I thought this is going to be made so that it will be, the system going forward from here on out. And it's kind of sad to see that wasn't the case, but the idea is still kind of the same for a cloud-based service for it. I think, like I said, and you said, smartphones are key here, 100%. But, and I was thinking, okay, so I don't play a whole lot of Pokemon Go. So I'm like, okay, well, all my friends have been playing all of, the event days, the community days, and they have all these shinies that I don't get to bring to my Sword and Shield now. But then I started thinking, because this is an issue I've had, I still have both of my shiny medals on my smartphone on Pokemon Go. I have not transferred them to Let's Go Pikachu yet, because I'm not sure if I transfer to Let's Go Pikachu if I can get them in Sword and Shield, or what's going to happen to them. So I didn't want to make any bold moves before I knew for a fact my medals would be going forward with me. And so this I think is good confirmation, but then I started getting paranoid, like, wait, what if it's not, though? What if, because, even Pokemon Bank is still a one-way system. You can't transfer from Black and White to X and Y and back. You can only go forwards. Same thing with Sun and Moon, etc. And that could still kind of be the case where there's different categories. So I can only transfer Pokemon Go, Pokemon to Pokemon Go apps, Let's Go, etc., but not to Sword and Shield. And that still kind of concerns me a bit, but also makes me feel a bit better about how my friends don't get all these event day Pokemon in Sword and Shield.
Yeah. You know, I actually spent the the an hour before we were originally going to go online. I was out and about, and I had been catching
Snorlax.
Meltan and Snorlax. Yeah, I did, because they shortened the mystery box time frame from 7 days to 3.
Oh, this week they're doing that?
Period. It looks like period because I noticed this 2 weeks ago.
Okay, because I know, yeah, they did. They had the second event recently, but I thought the time is just permanently. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know about that.
Like, as long as you have them, as long as you trade a Pokemon to Pokemon Let's Go, you'll get a mystery box and you can open it within 3 days of the last one. So
I learned something.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize it until about 2 weeks ago. Ooh, a Tangela just popped up on my game. Haven't seen one of those in a couple years, actually. Anyhow.
I'm still mad about that event because I didn't get my first shiny Meltan until the very last day of the first event. At the very last Meltan, I was livid because I'm not going to get one. I've had like a whole month and I'm not going to get one. And then I got the same thing to happen the second event. And I'm just so unlucky. Everyone's like, I have 9 shiny Meltan. I have 2 accounts, and so I have 18. And it's like, I just barely got one.
So what really excites me about the Pokemon Home app is the smartphone functionality. The smartphone functionality will allow you to trade with somebody who's utilizing the Nintendo Switch via an online connection. You can trade locally with your friends on your smart devices and online trade with your friends via smart devices. All of that is amazing functionality. It reminds me of the GTS from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, the good GTS, where you could just kind of throw a Pokemon out there and a friend or a random person could trade your Pokemon. And that's so cool because you could put a Pokemon up for trade, like, hey, I want to trade this Melmetal for like a Cresselia. Put it out there, and if somebody wants that trade and they have that Pokemon, it's done. You can just make that trade locally. At least that's what it seems like, according to the way they described it. They broke it down. This is cool. Now, it is a little disappointing that this isn't going to be actually launching with Pokemon Sword and Shield. It will launch early 2020. But that being said, this is worth the wait. One more thing that kind of bugs me. They didn't announce how we'd be getting this service. Is this going to be integrated into a Nintendo Switch Online account, or is this going to be its own separate service? If it is a separate service, what kind of price points are we looking at?
Yeah, is it subscription? How much? Pokemon Bank was $5.
$5 for an entire year. Based on, if it is a separate service based on escalation and based on functionality, this could be $15.
Yeah, and it's got to be more expensive than $5.
I would venture to guess this is going to launch between $10 and $15. The closer to 10, the better. But there's a lot of functionality and a lot of integration between many different systems. We're talking about smart devices and 2 separate consoles. So this could get costly quickly, and I don't know, man. I don't know if the Pokemon company wants to venture down that rabbit hole, because we saw what happened when Nintendo released Mario Run at $9.99. There was a lot of backlash, and a lot of people didn't, download it completely. They only got the demo version. Yeah, the demo version, which I think had about 3 or 5
levels.
Yeah. So if they price this too high, they could price themselves out.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see that. I think this is really good and smart integration. I think the price point needs to be right. Now, what the best solution for me would be for this to be integrated into Nintendo Switch Online. It's already like Nintendo Switch Online is already an online subscription service that I think could use more functionality. So integrating this into a Nintendo Switch Online account would make for the best bet. Like, I would love to go ahead, open up the Nintendo Switch Online app on my smart device. You know, let's do a little quick visual. There's my Nintendo Switch Online app on my phone. Open it up, and once it opens, there's integration for Smash and Splatoon. I would love to see there be a third option for Pokemon Home within this app, so that A, I don't have to download a separate app, and B, I'm not paying an additional service fee.
I really wonder. Well, actually, one real thing, real quick. I want a Mario Maker function in that app too. Eventually, Mario Maker, you get on that app, please. But also, so they didn't mention that it would cost anything at all, which I thought like you should at least mention. Yeah, this will cost money. Like, so that kind of like was a weird red flag to me. Like, maybe this won't be charged. Maybe this will be free or built in with the online, like you were saying. Because I feel like they would have mentioned like this will cost a price. They would have like said at least that, right? And that just struck a red flag with me.
I would hope so, but I mean, because the Pokemon Company technically runs itself as a separate entity from Nintendo itself, even though Nintendo owns 33% of the Pokemon franchise, the Pokemon Company is its own separate entity, which is why we have smartphone games that aren't Nintendo. When it comes to the Pokemon franchise. It's a weird setup. But it is what it is. It is the setup that works the most efficiently for the Pokemon franchise and for Nintendo. So with that being said, I don't know, is there anything left to talk about when it comes to Pokemon Home? Because it's a big topic, but we don't know enough about it yet.
Well, I want to go back to what you were saying about how it releases 2020 real quick. And that really, really disappointed me to see. Not only because it won't be out by Sword and Shield, but because previously, like from, X and Y on, since the 3DS era on, no game has launched with that kind of transfer service immediately. In X and Y, we had to wait for Pokemon Bank to be released, like really the next year, and then Oras, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, and Sun and Moon, etc. Didn't even get.
Integration was 6 months after the release of the game, far after I had beaten it and been I hadn't even been playing the game. Very much after that point. It came out far too late. I had to buy the second game, to go ahead and really get the most use out of Pokemon Bank, for Sun and Moon at least.
Yeah, and that's just such a huge letdown. Because at least in X and Y, I kind of felt like I had a good majority of the Pokemon that I really liked, that I wanted, from other regions. But in Sun and Moon, there were a lot of Pokemon that I wanted this Pokemon, and it just wasn't available for me until 6 months. And I couldn't start a playthrough with some of these legacy Pokemon. I couldn't complete a national Pokedex. It just felt like it was hindering to me as a player to do things I wanted to do.
I'm going to be honest. If they hadn't launched Pokemon Sun and Moon with that demo that gave you an Ash Greninja, if I didn't have access to a Greninja immediately, I would have been hella pissed. Because Greninja, second best starter after Bulbasaur for me.
I mean, so
I'll die on that hill.
No, yeah, same. I was Team Froakie the minute he was announced, and I'm so happy Greninja's as cool as he is. And my first shiny I hunted in X and Y was a shiny Greninja though, and so I didn't get my shiny Greninja until 6 months later, and that was really upsetting. Sure, I had an Ash Greninja, but I don't care about this Greninja. I care about my shiny Greninja with its hidden power electric and its protein modest, it was perfect, Oh,
come on. You don't like a mega evolving Greninja? That's dope, dude.
I mean, it's cool, but it wasn't my Greninja. The whole point of Pokemon Home is that these are irreplaceable Pokemon that you have sentimental feelings for, and he went over that. That's not my Greninja. But yeah, so that's just disappointing just for the fact that the history here isn't that great so far, and that just hurts me.
And I think it's it's a little bit more jarring when you realize that we still don't have an official date for Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, best smart guess. Let's do the smart guess here.
October.
Late October, early November.
Yeah.
Before Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It will come out before Black Friday. That is very typical of Pokemon. They like to have that mid-fall game, early winter. That is the track record. What did October 25th is looking like a pretty key day for them. So that is the expectation. Now, how long after? Now they said early 2020, but we know that the quarters for
that could be like up to April, right?
Yeah.
That's not okay. From
when you
October
start
to April.
you start looking at
that's like half a year.
Like
that's
financial
again,
quarters, because they go based off of their financial quarters, which means the financial year starts for them in November, and it runs until like March or something, March or April.
Yeah.
So, this could be a long wait for this Pokemon Home to launch, but hopefully we get an announcement at E3 or during the Pokemon Sun and Moon Direct next week. We'll find out. All right.
And you can stay tuned to us for us covering that in our thoughts next week as well. With our E3 predictions as well. Yeah.
All right. So next we're going to move on to what I'm calling the Pokemon Sleep Initiative. So they announced multiple projects that will be compatible with their Pokemon Sleep Initiative. The first being the Pokemon Sleep app, which is going to be co-developed with Select Button. That's going to be released 2020. We don't know when in 2020, just in 2020. Pokemon Sleep is kind of a spin-off of Pokemon Go with being developed by a separate developer. And they're going to track your sleep and to see whether or not you have good sleep habits. And what it will do is it will give you a reason to wake up every day, according to the Pokemon Company. Like life and being alive isn't a good enough reason to get up in the morning. But yes, it's also going to integrate with Pokemon Go. So now you're going to Pokemon Go is going to be able to track your sleep, and if you have good sleep habits, you're going to get gains within Pokemon Sleep and Pokemon Go. Nintendo specifically announced that they're making another device very similar to this Pokeball Plus and the Pokemon Go Plus called the Pokemon Go Plus Plus. The worst name Nintendo ever could have conceived. It is on par with Wii U.
Like, okay, so I want to talk about this. I have never ever thought about any kind of announcement for anything that this is a joke, right? You're joking until he said Pokemon Go Plus Plus. Like, I was waiting for him to say, no, we're actually calling it this. And it just didn't happen. And I was losing my mind.
I could already think of a better name. Pokemon Plus Squared.
Pokemon Sleep Plus.
Yes. Anything else than Pokemon Go Plus Plus. All right. So it is. Let's just talk about the device real quick. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So it has been conceived as an upgrade to the Pokemon Go Plus. It will integrate with Pokemon Go and Pokemon Sleep. It has more functions than Pokemon Go Plus, but less than the Pokeball Plus, as it cannot be used as a controller. And they didn't actually say whether or not if you could put a Pokemon from Pokemon Let's Go in it. So it's going to have less functions than the Pokemon Go Plus. It has its own functionality and technology. The technology is going to have a accelerometer, and I think they said a gyroscope.
Yeah. So that those two, accelerometer and gyroscope, will be used to track your sleeping, theoretically, similar to how Fitbits do, where you leave them sort of on your mattress.
Exactly.
And it'll sort of be like, okay, your mattress is shaking this much, so you're maybe a bit restless, or
I have terrible sleep habits. I toss and turn a lot.
I'm very toss turn,
and I only sleep about 3 to 4 hours a night. I function on very little sleep, just because of work and my lifestyle. I am very active. I mean, I'm fat, but I actually have a extraordinarily active lifestyle. It's just I drink a whole lot of soda. If you guys wonder what's in these cups that you see me drinking out of when we're recording, it's like soda. And today, the soda of choice is Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper Blue?
It's Dr. Pepper Dark Berry.
Berry Dr. Pepper? What?
Yes, it's actually freaking awesome. It tastes like Dr. Pepper with hints of blueberry. And it's fantastic. It's tying into Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh, okay.
Little Mysterio.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about.
Yeah, I stopped drinking soda, so I found this really interesting because I don't know what they do anymore. Apparently, they make a caramel Pepsi, and I'm like, whoa, that sounds cool. And I never tried it, and people always tell me this is kind of cool. Like they made like a hot cinnamon Pepsi. I'm like, what are these? I don't keep up with this stuff because I don't drink soda anymore. So it's really cool to see.
I have to stop. I've been doing I've been taking a bigger effort to drink water, but neither here nor there. Yeah, I have terrible sleep habits, so this is something that's really going to show me. It's going to throw it in my face how terrible my sleep habits actually are, which I don't know if I'm going to like that too much. But yeah.
Well, I'm just concerned.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm concerned at how accurate it will be because everyone's sort of situation is going to be different. You know, I get, assuming my dog doesn't wake me up, I get roughly 8 to 9 hours, and I'm really good at staying asleep as long as my dog doesn't start barking.
I also have the thing where I don't actually sleep alone. I sleep with my partner.
I was gonna get to that.
I sleep with my fiance Drippin' Ink and our dogs. You know, they sleep on the bed with us.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more movement going on in the bed than if I, was
sleeping alone in just
the typical Pokemon player's age range. Yeah, I don't sleep alone. I sleep with my partner and my dogs. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it tracks the movement of 4 creatures.
Yeah, that's my concern. Is that if I'm sleeping with a significant other or a spouse or a couple, whatever, how is that going to affect it? A dog, just me being a tosser and turner, despite getting good sleep. And also, different mattress types. If you have a mattress that is, one of those fancy new things that won't break eggs if you set an egg out.
I have one of those mattresses that's like completely made out of like a combination of gel and memory foam, and it arches. I sleep with my head elevated because I'm a terrible snorer, so I have to raise my side of the mattress to about 30 degrees. So
yeah, and then so a mattress like that, or compared to like some with lots of springs that will sort of jostle those accelerometers every small movement, even because there's so many springs giving that accelerometer feedback.
Exactly.
So it's very conditional, and I don't think that's good. I don't think you're going to properly reward players, and I almost think I'm going to transition to a new tangent here on this. I think that at least for the first couple weeks or first couple months, this will have a very bad, negative, opposite effect of what they're going for.
Yeah, I kind of wish Jaden, had been reachable for this episode because he is our resident techie. Like he is very in tune with like all sorts of technology. I'm pretty sure he would have been able to give us a lot of good feedback on what actually might be in this device, specifically because I have a theory that we're going to talk about in a moment, but go ahead and hit us up with that.
Yes. So if you look to Pokemon Go, that took the world by storm. Everyone was doing it constantly, and they just wanted to get, they wanted to get more Pokemon, more evolutions, more candy, more Stardust. They wanted everything they could do as fast as possible, but Pokemon Go can only really be played, quote unquote, as fast as you can travel or find these Pokemon, how fast you can find them. And the way I sort of see this being is a Pokemon you get when you wake up. When you wake up, you could have a Pikachu just waiting there for you when you wake up. That's how I kind of see this playing out for the most part. It's a reward for when you wake up. And now I see the issue becoming people getting too excited, like a kid on Christmas Eve, waiting for their presents tomorrow morning, which is, in this case, the Pikachu on your phone when you wake up. They're going to be too excited to sleep. And they're going to want, I know. So that's like the first issue, but then like how fast can you really progress to get more of these Pokemon? I don't think you can progress all that quickly because you can only get a Pokemon every night that you sleep. So you can't really just go on a long hike for the whole day and catch all the Pokemon you find in that hike. You get one when you wake up. You can't speed this process up, and I think that's gonna create a lot of unease with the player base.
Well, we will find out. As we mentioned earlier when we talked about the Pokemon Go Plus, it is being developed by Nintendo. Now, earlier this year, Nintendo announced that they had canceled their quality of life project. Now, my theory here is that a lot of the quality of life project that was announced for the Wii U, was supposed to be integrated with Nintendo Switch, is finding its way here in the Pokemon Go Plus Plus. I think that they spent a lot of money researching and developing their quality of life devices. I wouldn't be surprised that it wasn't a true cancellation of the quality of life and more of a rebranding, something that could be sold at a much cheaper price point, something that more people would desire. And what can do that? Pokemon. You look these Pokemon Go Pluses and the Pokeball Pluses and the Pokemon Go Plus. Those things sold like crazy when they first got announced. Now the Pokeball not so much because it is technically it's a controller for the Nintendo Switch, but initially these were hard to find. I actually have two, but I had to buy a bundle for one and Amazon the second one by itself. But that's because I have both versions of the game, and I wanted a Mew for both versions of the game. Either way.
Now, I want to segue off of that, though. We talked about if a Pokemon could be, you could put a Pokemon inside the Pokemon Go Plus Plus. Will it come with a event Pokemon inside it, even with or without? Will I get some ability to get an event Pokemon? I think should be the standard going forward.
Be nice if they put like a Celebi in there.
For Gen 2 to mimic the Mew. Yeah, I was thinking that exact thing. But so I think that should be a cool standard going forward with these Pokemon peripherals. Definitely.
True. But not to get too far away from the quality of life.
Okay.
I don't want... It just seems weird to me that Nintendo would just outright cancel that project. Because they had been saying for years that it was coming, that it was going to be very efficient in players' daily life and their lifestyles.
Mm-hmm. I 100% think this is where it went. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm willing to guess it was more of a rebranding. I wouldn't be surprised if we got that kind of announcement later on, maybe after the device is actually released. But if it is where the technology went, if it is where all the research went, genius marketing by Nintendo to go ahead and spin it off in this way. I think that's a really good and great method for them to really mass market and have mass appeal for something that probably wouldn't have sold well without this kind of branding.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Now, moving on from that, let's talk about its design and build quality, because really interested in the overall design of this particular device. Now, I love the Pokemon Go Plus. It was a great little thing on your wrist. But I'm kind of thick. I'm a thick person, so that wristband wasn't so great. Now, the Pokeball Plus really made that a lot smoother with its strap. The strap here works fantastically. And even the ring can accommodate my chubby fingers. I'm still going to get hand cramps when I play the game.
For sure,
specifically only using this. But as a device that connects specifically to Pokemon Go, this is the far superior device because of, the fact that you can put a Pokemon in here and it will spin your Pokestops for you automatically. The fact that you can put the game into sleep mode and still catch Pokemon by tapping the button. Now, the issues that I have with this is the build quality of this particular device. I am not a fan of the texturized rubber that they utilized as the outer coating for this. Yes, I get it. It makes for a better grip. But it gets dirty easily, which means I'm constantly cleaning this thing. And I just don't like the feel of the rubber, and I'm very cautious about scratching the device and having the rubber get peeled off. But this new Pokemon Go Plus Plus, man, that's such a difficult name to say.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, not a good name, Nintendo. Rebrand it.
Please, Pokemon Go Sleep Plus.
I like that from what we saw in the press conference and the art that came out afterwards, the official key art, it's more of a it's plastic. It's like the Pokemon Go Plus, which was an all plastic unit.
Mm-hmm.
It's bigger. I would say it's about maybe the
if
size.
You smushed that down into a pancake.
If you made it flat. Yeah, exactly. I would say it's about that size. And the functionality working with Pokemon Go the way that this device does, in the sense where it tracks your movements with the accelerometer and the gyroscope, all that is cool. So as far as its design and build quality is concerned, I think it's going to replace my usage of the Pokemon Go Plus, Pokeball Plus, if it allows me to carry a Pokemon, and it doesn't need to work as a controller for the Switch, but as long as I can carry a Pokemon within the unit, it will be my replacement device. And obviously, I am going to get one because I do want to test the sleep functionality with it. But that's kind of it. I kind of just want to see how well it works, but I would like it as a replacement to my Pokeball Plus because I don't really like taking this thing out of the house. I'm very conscious of losing it. And when I wear it out and about, for the most part, I strap it to my jeans. Yeah. I very rarely wear it on my wrist unless I'm specifically like out and about to do nothing more than hunt Pokemon. Like today I made it a point to spend 45 minutes catching Pokemon, and that's the only time that I wear the device as intended. If you're watching, I'm wearing it as intended right now. Aside from that, it's always strapped to my jeans, and or my backpack, and I'm always conscious that it's going to fall off or somebody's going to take it. That being said, though, I like this. This is a pocketable device. I can literally slip this. It's big enough that it feels right, but it's also small enough that it will fit into your pocket, which this isn't very pocketable. This is uncomfortable to keep in your pocket.
I want to sort of share my 2 cents on this. So you had mentioned that the original Pokemon Go Plus peripheral wristband that came with default was too small for your wrist, and I think a lot of people had a similar issue. But the nice thing about that was that you could sort of wear it however you wanted. You could, pin it to your shirt, get a different kind of wristband, put it on a belt. You had options, which I thought was really cool. And it's small enough to just be kind of more discreet incognito.
And also in Japan, they released an accessory that makes it so that you could wear it as a ring.
Yeah.
That was exclusive to Pokemon centers.
Thanks, no, but like it still helps the example of just the different ways you can really use that accessory. And I really like that. I've been tempted for a long time. I haven't gotten a Pokemon Go Plus yet. And I haven't really felt too much of a need, but if I want to, do more Pokemon Go, then I'm a very mild Pokemon Go user. I use it for certain events and Meltan, essentially, is what I do with it these days. And if I want to get more into it, I think it would be a good thing to have because it's so small. You mentioned that the Pokeball Plus is great to hook to a backpack or a belt loop or maybe a lanyard with your keys, a carabiner, etc. on your belt loop. And I think that's exactly great for it. It's perfect. But it's not very it's loud. People are going to notice it. They're going to try and want to steal it. It'll fall off. That's a concern of mine as well when I see that. And I don't like doing that. And so I look at the Pokemon Go Plus, and it's too big to be worn as a ring. It's too big to be worn around my wrist. It's just too big to be a thing I see myself using a lot. And I think I'd rather have that original Pokemon Go Plus, that same size, but with sleep functionality if I really had to. Because I'm not a fan of that. It looks it's just too big for anything that I could see myself.
I like it, and I think it's the right size for me. there's one more thing I want to talk about when it comes to the design and build quality.
Mhm.
The Pokemon Go Plus, the one that's meant to be worn on the wrist, used the 3025 flat, quarter-sized batteries,
It died a lot.
and it died a lot.
Yeah.
This new device has a USB-C port at the bottom of it, just like the Pokeball Plus.
And the Switch.
Yes.
Just
Which
in all your
means-
Samsung phones.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if you buy this and you have a Nintendo Switch, even though
You're
it's going to
gonna
come
cord.
with a cable, you're going to have additional cables to charge the unit with. So
Mhm.
Nintendo's learning from their design. Their design are integrating with one another, which makes it really cool. Which means that's also kind of the thing that makes me think that it may connect to Pokemon Let's Go in the sense, but they haven't announced it yet, and I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. But I have high hopes for it.
But it's like I'm saying, it's too big and awkward for me to really get behind that right now. At least if I can see more of a use or more, if there's something I can see that really makes me get over that, I could see myself getting it for sure. I'm not sure if you have any other things you want to talk about with Pokemon Sleep, but I do have one more thing I want to talk about.
As far as Pokemon Sleep, the integrations to Pokemon Go, they did get John Henke on stage as well.
It's from Niantic.
Niantic, the president of Niantic. He also said that Pokemon Sleep will have functionality within
Pokemon Go.
And we already know we talked about the functionality that the Pokemon Go Plus will have. But what kind of connectivity will Pokemon Sleep and Pokemon Go have with one another? Because they are developed by separate studios. We said earlier,
Select Button,
yes, and versus Niantic. Now, this is going to be a really collaborative effort from all parties involved: the Pokemon Company, Select Button, Nintendo, and Niantic. You have 4 companies that have their hands in this pie. So it's nice to see that kind of interconnectivity. Yeah, that level of collaboration is kind of unheard of in the video game industry, especially when you have these kind of 4 separate entities. But there is a lot to be gained from this. But yeah, as part of a tie-in, John Henke also announced that Snorlax is seeing some increased spawns in Pokemon Go, and they're funny because they're all asleep. They can still be given berries, which is nice, but only one. And they don't actually consume the berries; they kind of hold them. So if they break out of the ball, you can't give it another berry because it's already holding
one. Yeah,
which it took me a while to understand that. It took me a minute to get that. Also, I have yet to been able to catch a Snorlax using less than 3 Pokeballs.
Snorlax is always tough, yeah.
But it's very cool. I've actually caught some of my strongest Snorlax via this event. This is going to go on through the 5th of June. So get them while you can because, the increased spawns of Snorlax is nice because I haven't really seen Snorlaxes since, the early days of Pokemon Go. Now, I've had a bunch, but it's always nice to have more because Snorlax is kind of a powerhouse in Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I actually only got my first Snorlax recently, and I've wanted one since the very beginning of Pokemon Go. It's like the one thing I wanted. I just never found one. And I finally got one recently, and I get more to power up the candies with. So it works.
Now, unfortunately, John Henke didn't say what kind of functionality Pokemon Sleep would have with Pokemon Go. Just said that there would be some. I assume it's going to be real basic.
Yeah, the way I see it happening is exactly like Adventure Sync currently, but it's going to be like a sleep sync. So, you got 8 hours every single night this week. Here's 20 Pokeballs. And it's like as simple as that.
That would kind of be lame. Like,
but it's functionality.
Adventure Sync was a good idea at first, and now it's like I have way too many Pokeballs.
Yeah, well, see, I never have enough Pokeballs, though, so I need Adventure Sync. Like, I am so out of Pokeballs constantly.
I have 200 Great Balls.
I wish I have, like, 6.
I have 80 Ultra Balls, and I have 250 Pokeballs. I can't delete them fast enough. Ever since, the gift...
I wish I had that problem.
Adventure Sync. Well, I mean, I play Pokemon Go at least, twice a week. As I used to, it gets a lot of play.
Okay.
But with that being said, I think that fully wraps up the Pokemon Sleep Initiative, as I'm going to start calling it.
No.
Because it's multiple apps utilizing Pokemon Sleep. So that's it for the Pokemon Sleep.
No, I have one more thing I want to talk about. So concerning for those of you who wear your tinfoil hats like me and whatnot, you don't want people to know your information. We don't know anything about if like Pokemon will record and look at, monitor the data they collect through your sleep habits. But I'm going to say it is a possibility. They can probably get permission from you to do that, to use the app. So be wary if you don't want people to know how you're sleeping. Because that could be a thing.
I was like, there's a lot of activity in this bed. Yeah, because I was making sweet, sweet love. I was not.
But this is the kind of information that people would pay for. I'm not wrong. Yeah.
All right, but okay. With that, we can end the Pokemon Sleep Initiative. Yeah. All right. So they did announce a new mobile game. One that's okay. Pokemon Go, for as good as it was initially, there were some glaring holes in what the game actually provided when it came to things like its battle system. We have a new Pokemon game that got announced for mobile devices that looks like it's going to be utilizing a more traditional battle system called Pokemon Masters. This is a co-developed game with DNA. Now, for those who have been watching us for a long time or are just really aware of what Nintendo does, Nintendo signed an exclusivity deal with DNA to develop a multitude of mobile games. That includes Fire Emblem Heroes, Super Mario Run, Mario Kart Tour, Animal Crossing, Pocket Camp, that Mii game, Miitomo. It has been an interesting partnership because to this day, I'm not necessarily sure if it's been successful or not, with the exception of Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing. Those are the two big money-making games of the 5 announced games. Mario Kart Tour has yet to be released globally, but there are the beta version is out currently, and there have been beta tests. We have seen leaks, unfortunately, because people don't honor NDAs.
They should.
Yeah, actually, that should be an arrestable offense. With that, neither here nor there. Yeah, DNA has had a strong partnership with Nintendo to the point where Nintendo owns something like 30% of the company now, maybe a little bit more. And Niantic owns like 2% of Nintendo. It's whatever it is actually equivalent to one another. So Nintendo owning like 30% of that company is equivalent to DNA owning 2% of Nintendo, which just goes to show how big Nintendo actually is as a company. But yeah, Game Freak and the Pokemon Company announcing a partnership with DNA doesn't affect the actual Nintendo deal because, again, as we discussed earlier, the Pokemon Company is a separate entity. But it's kind of cool to see that the Pokemon Company is utilizing that partnership that Nintendo has already fostered. And this new game looks awesome. This is by far the best announcement for me of the Pokemon press conference because this game is going to allow you to battle all the master trainers from all the previous generations. And visually, it looks great. That gameplay trailer that they showed looks great. The art by Ken Sugimori, the original art designer for Pokemon, all that looks really fantastic. We don't know what the gameplay looks like, but if you look at those screenshots, it looks like
a 3v3 PvP battle of some kind.
Exactly. But it also looks like you can teach your Pokemon more moves later. There were empty slots. So what moves can you teach it? But yeah, it looks really cool. I'm excited about this game. This is the right game for mobile.
Agreed.
This is the game that Pokemon Go could have been and chose not to be.
I wanted to talk about that, yeah.
I don't want to throw a lot of shade at Pokemon Go, but
the battle system sucks.
Yes, it really does. And
it's not Pokemon.
Adding PvP to the game didn't really add anything to the game. As much as we all thought it would and we wanted it to.
And it took forever.
It did. And it just goes to show that Niantic needs to overhaul the battle system, something a little bit more traditional. I'm okay with turn-based.
Yeah, same.
Like it's okay. I think hardcore Pokemon fans would appreciate a more
Yes.
turn-based approach.
I
to
would.
Pokemon Go.
Yes.
But yeah, this game does seem to have that. Now,
It'll scratch that itch.
exactly. And now, I don't know if it's all going to be 3v3, but at least the battles that they did show are 3v3. But dude, let's talk about those graphics for a minute because, man,
They look sexy.
They look good. Like, it was on par with
Sun and Moon.
On par with the Let's Go designs for at least Blue.
Yeah.
So I was very excited to see that. And this is going to span all the previous generations of Pokemon. So
maybe even future ones.
Oh yeah, and I like the new trainer character that they showed off. There's a female and a male version. They
have weird hats though. Both of them, I don't like their hats.
But I kind of like the color. I like the color choice that they're rocking green.
Yeah, I do too. Green's nice.
And you know, the male trainer obviously kicking it with his Pikachu. Because every male trainer has to have a Pikachu.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's tradition at this point.
But what's cool is if you look at the designs, they all have smart. You know, the male and the female trainer for Pokemon Master, they have smart devices attached to their thing that have been
They have phones.
Their phones are there, but what Pokemon is their phone? It's the ghost Pokemon that takes over. Rotom. Yes.
Phone. I'm pretty sure this is just the next Rotom Dex. I want to say it's like going to be a Pokedex, but it's really a phone.
It's the Rotom phone.
Thinking.
Yeah. By the way, I really like the redesign for Red. That did. That cool. Looks really cool. Nice to see all these trainers back. I love Cynthia. Brock busting with the abs. I was like, oh man, oh my goodness, I am so excited about this game.
One thing I really loved was that
later this year, dude.
Yeah, they showed like the gameplay of Blue. Like he introduces himself. He says bonjour. It's just everyone else speaks Japanese. Blue, bonjour. Well, yes, Blue. You tell him you're French. You love Carlos. But so I thought that was cool. One thing I want to talk about that was I think revealed here is that Z moves are coming to this game. And that's big to me just because I know this is a third-party, like non-main line game, but you know, you look at how Game Freak and Pokemon handles gimmicks, and a lot of the time gimmicks don't necessarily return. They'll get their generation and then they're still present. You can still Mega Evolve, but you don't get any more past that. So to see that we're getting more and new Z moves for these trainers is interesting. So I maybe wonder if the Z move will continue somehow beyond just Gen 7 Sun and Moon. Because I really thought it was dead at this point because they have all the types. It's just exclusive Pokemon at this point. But I don't know. But it was interesting to see that they have Z moves.
Which probably opens the door for Mega Evolution. Now what they
they showed Mega Charizard, yeah. And Mega...
Oh yeah, he's on the key art. I'm looking at
for Red.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's confirmed to be in, yeah. But they don't have new Megas in.
I'm kind of hoping for integration with Pokemon Home. They didn't announce any specifically, but at that point,
that could be cool.
At that point in the press conference, they hadn't shown off Pokemon Masters yet. So I would assume that you're still catching Pokemon. I don't think you're just going to have a set Pokemon that goes with you unless you're just a trainer with Pikachu, which would be... I mean, I still play the game, but I would be like,
I would be very disappointed, yeah.
Let me catch some Pokemon here.
There's soon to be over 1,000 Pokemon, and I get Pikachu. And that's it. Really? I'm with all these cool people who have Mega Metagross, Mega Charizard, Onix, and I have a Pikachu. It's just upsetting.
I mean, Pikachu is technically the brand ambassador.
I mean, he's great. I love Pikachu, but everyone has their own personal preferences of what Pokemon they love. And there's some guy out there who probably loves Weedle and wants a Weedle instead of a Pikachu. And they're going to say, no, you can't have a Weedle. Personally, I'm opting for my guy over here, Bulbasaur. Yeah, I would love a Bulbasaur. But it's just allowing the player more player choice here. It's always a good thing. If they just deny that you're staying with Pikachu, that's just upsetting. Because you don't have player choice at that point.
Still, yeah, true. But there is a lot to be excited about with this game. A Pokemon game on mobile that will allow you to battle in a more traditional sense. We've had a lot of Pokemon games on mobile devices now. We've had Pokemon Duel, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Quest, Pokemon Shuffle. We've had a lot of Pokemon games. Pokemon Rumble, which is out
Just
on
got a
Android,
recent one. Yeah.
Yep. Which is still not out on iOS, which is kind of bumming me out. I love the Pokemon Rumble series, and it's not out on iOS. Then we've also had that weird Magikarp jump game, which was developed by Select Button, who is developing Pokemon Sleep.
Yep.
We've had a lot of Pokemon games on smart devices. We have yet to have one with a traditional battle system, and looks like this game is finally going to give that to us. So, lot to be excited about. How much of a Pokemon game is this, or is this pretty much just like a gauntlet-style battle these trainers games? Either way,
it'll be good.
Yeah,
I'll be happy.
I'm excited about it either way. Plus, man, that key art by Ken Sugimori, love it.
Nice. That's crisp. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's all the news, right?
Oh, they had one more announcement. Pokemon shirts.
Yes.
Every developer that presented during the Pokemon press conference was wearing a Pokemon button-down shirt. Very nice, by the way. I gotta say, very classy. All of these shirts are custom designed based on the person. You go to the website, you design the shirt. Like, you have from the original 151 Pokemon to choose from, and they can be combined to make a shirt that suits your style. This is currently available in Japan, but they said it's going to open to Americas and Europe. I think coming soon. Coming soon. They didn't specifically say, but they said it would be coming soon. So
and then they'll expand later as well to other territories.
What I love about this is I love video game shirts. I love video game button-down shirts.
Yes.
A whole lot more. And I love Pokemon shirts.
Agreed. I'm with you on all those.
Like, the fact that you can customize the shirt to your liking means there are no two shirts that will be alike. This is the shirt you order is a one-of-a-kind shirt, and that is
sexy.
Freaking dope. That is dope to me in ways that clothing has never been dope. I love that. I spent last weekend at Uniqlo because they announced a Street Fighter collaboration. Now, which is great, but it means that a whole bunch of other people will have those shirts because, they only have
the same
to choose from.
Yeah.
But here, I can uniquely design my own Pokemon shirt. So there's going to be Bulbasaur's and Bulbasaur evolutions all over my shirt.
Oh, I'm going for the Bulbasaur ones. You already know. I'm not sure if you've taken a look at the Japanese version of the website for the Pokemon shirts. So I did that back, I guess maybe a month ago. Whenever it first got online, I took a look. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and find the way to import these because I want these so bad. So I was looking at the website. I was really trying to, I was browsing all the designs, and I'm like, okay, I want all of these. I'm going to try and find a way to get them, and I just couldn't. So I'm glad that they're expanding. The news I can get these shirts now is the best news of the whole conference, I have to admit. For me personally, that's what I'm most excited about here.
As a guy who coined the term swagging with Nintendo, that's all my friends ask me, dude, where do you get your shirts? And I never tell them because
you got to be unique.
Exactly. This is my style. Don't come on, stay off of me. Yeah. like when you're swagging, you have to have the best Nintendo related shirts. This takes that shit to a whole new level. And there's my first curse word of today's episode.
Yeah, you might be right. Okay. Anyways, but I was looking at how the designs work. So each Pokemon from 1 to 151, maybe only 150. I forget exactly if they had Mewtwo and Mew, but each one has 3 designs for it. So then if you if you want to go Bulbasaur, you have 3 different Bulbasaur designs to choose from, etc. And then you can mix and match the Bulbasaur design with the Charmander designs, with the Squirtle designs, and you can get all 3. And one will be a detail in the pocket, one will be the main shirt, and one's going to be the collar or the maybe a cufflinks. I don't remember what the third one was, but yeah. So that was really cool to see. So, but just the fact that each Pokemon has 3 different designs is nice. Because I don't like that Bulbasaur design, but then you go to the next one. I love this Bulbasaur design. Great, I'll take it.
Exactly. So, yeah, that one of my favorite announcements, straight up, of the press conference, just because it's something that's specifically designed to get at the stylist in me. Guys, in my personal life, I like to dress up as much as possible, and I definitely love to dress up in unique ways. This totally does that for me. It scratches that itch in a way that has never been scratched before. And I wear a lot of video game shirts. You guys have been watching this show for a long time. You've seen me rocking a multitude of hats, shirts, shoes, right down to my socks. I don't do the underwear because that's just weird. But still, like I rock a multitude of like video game clothing. This does it better than has ever been done before, and I love that news.
And one thing I just want to know about is that being mentioned that, everyone who attended the conference will get not a Pokemon shirt, but something incorporating the designs of the Pokemon shirts. So I'm like, okay, what did they get, like a wallet? I want to know. I want to see these wallets if they got wallets. I want these wallets. So I'm really jealous about that. I just at least want to know. But so everyone who attended the conference, live there, got a free item of Pokemon shirt design.
Want to bet it was like a poster or an art cell?
I can see it.
Money on that.
Yeah.
All right, but with that being said, that wraps up the Pokemon press conference. That was all the major news. We left out one story about the Pokemon Jewel thing, but I didn't really understand what they were talking about there.
Isn't that the Sinnoh Center? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talked about it, I guess.
Yeah, we covered it. Yeah.
It's weird. But with that being said, let's go ahead and hit up our closing thoughts on the Pokemon press conference. They announced a lot more than I thought they would. Not all of it as interesting as I think they thought it would be. I think the Pokemon Sleep Initiative kind of fell flat, at least for me. As a person with terrible sleeping habits, this didn't really speak to me in the way that I think they wanted it to speak to me. We did spend a good amount of time talking about it, but that's because I was interested in the Pokemon Go Plus, and if there was a connection to the quality of life project that Nintendo had been working on. That's where my mind went when they were talking about it. But as far as Pokemon Sleep, the app itself, the integration with Pokemon Go, I think that fell flat to me because, for the most part, it's great that Nintendo and Pokemon want to reward sleep. That's cool, but for somebody who lives the lifestyle that I live, it doesn't necessarily appeal to me just because I'm highly active and I run off of very little sleep. That being said, though, the other announcements really, really get me hyped. From Pokemon Quest getting additional support that's exclusive for the Chinese market, that's cool, and it kind of makes me want that same kind of integration. And then the fact that we're getting the Detective Pikachu 2 announcement for the Nintendo Switch, that's also very cool. Pokemon Home completely blew my mind with what it can be and what it should be, and the questions that we still may have about the service. All the way down to Pokemon shirts and Pokemon Masters, a new way for me to dress and a new way for me to play Pokemon on the go. All that is so cool. I think this press conference was much better than the one they had last year. And last year they announced Pokemon Let's Go, and I loved the Let's Go games. But I think this press conference was far more successful than the previous one. So, in my opinion, this was a very good and strong effort from the Pokemon Company to really showcase the future of the Pokemon franchise. Any thoughts?
Yeah. So like you were saying, I liked it a lot. Where you thought, some of it just didn't have a lot of impact. I just thought it was just weird. I gotta be honest. So it's not that, Pokemon Sleep didn't appeal to me. I thought it was kind of cool. I can see, how that quality of life stuff is, cool, and how they want Pokemon to sort of really tackle that. But it's also just weird. Why I'm sleeping? I'm playing a game while sleeping. I don't understand it. And that's just weird to me. Pokemon Go Plus, I thought it was a joke at first. But so things like that, they're not bad. I didn't not engage with them. I just thought they were weird. And that's all. But as far as, seeing how Pokemon's going to tackle the future, where they're going, and also just how they're going to make money, what their products are going to be. I'm surprised there wasn't more of physical products talked about. I thought maybe they might talk about, a new plush line, a new, toy of some kind that I thought would have been cool to talk about if they had one of those, planned.
Well, what's funny is they did, like, back in February, they announced a Pikachu Alexa device. It's like a smart home device that's in the shape of Pikachu and can
only say Pika Pika.
So yeah, well, if you have an Alexa or what is it called, a
Google Home
or Amazon, whatever the Amazon, the property for Amazon Echo. Thank you. If you have an Amazon Echo, there is a Pikachu app that allows you to talk to Pikachu, and it will translate Pikachu for you, and you can play games with it and talk to it. Well, they basically did an upgrade to that device that's in the shape of Pikachu that utilizes the same app. It's kind of weird that they didn't announce that globally during this event, because it would have been cool.
Yeah, so, cool products, but even, I'm surprised they didn't talk about, something with the Pokemon TCG even. Or maybe just their events, Pokemon World Championships, more events like that. I think should have been when we talked about it more, but we're not present. But there are a lot of cool announcements. I'm fairly happy, and I think we're gonna get a lot more come the Direct on the 5th. So
yeah, especially in terms of Sun and Moon.
Mm-hmm. Sun and Moon. I hope not.
Sort of shield. All right, but guys, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to close this show out. But before we do, we have one more announcement to make. We talked about it in the beginning of the episode. This is the first episode of our 3 weeks of E3. What that means is we're going to do three episodes within 3 weeks. So today's episode about the Pokemon press conference. We have next week's episode that will specifically talk about the Pokemon Sword and Shield Direct that they're going to have. And it's going to be our annual E3 prediction episode. So look forward to that. And then the following week is E3. Nintendo's going to have their tournaments and their Direct. And we're going to do a post show. So yeah, lots of stuff to look forward to here on the Nintendo Power Zone. Lots of cool things that we're going to talk about in terms of Pokemon, in terms of Nintendo as a larger company. And Nintendo knows how to run a fun tournament. So we're going to have a lot of content, so please keep it locked here on the Nintendo Power Zone, because we're going to have tons of info to talk about within the next few weeks. So yeah, 3 weeks of E3, stay on point with that. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of your hair, but social media links first. You can hit me up on Twitter at nice1983. You can email me at nice1983@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/Nintendo Power Zone. If you're a fan of this podcast, you can download new episodes on iTunes, Google Play Music, stream episodes on Spotify and Stitcher Radio. But if you want to watch the show live, you got to catch us right here on YouTube, youtube.com/Nintendo Power Zone. Blues, hit them up.
You can follow me on Twitter, as always, at VKingBlues, blues spelled BLOOZ, Twitch, VKingBlues as well, and YouTube, same for that as well. However, some of you might have noticed I'm recording in a slightly different spot of my area today. That's because I've redone the entire house, and soon I'll get a space up and running for actual content creation here, where I can get that going, up and running.
Yeah, that's why you see all the boxes here unpacking to make this a more palatable space for our Nintendo Power Zone Twitch channel. As of right now, I've suspended streams on that, but there are some really great previous streams to look at. We did Final Fantasy X, Super Dragon Ball Heroes,
Super Mario RPG was cool.
Mario RPG, Final Fantasy VII. So yeah, we've done a lot of cool streams on the official Nintendo Power Zone Twitch. So look for us there in the near future. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining us and talking Pokemon with us. And remember to stay fresh. Deuces.